Podcasting for Profits author Lessa Barnes on today's School of Podcasting's morning announcements.
It's the School of Podcasting's morning announcements. Here's Dave Jackson.
Welcome to the School of Podcasting's morning announcements. I am Dave Jackson, and I've got a big announcement. So hang tight, okay? First of all, you want to contact me, very easy. Dave@schoolofpodcasting.com is my email. My phone number is 888-563-3228. Our show notes can be found at shownotes.schoolofpodcasting.com. And our website is schoolofpodcasting.com. And what's the big announcement? Well, USA Today is going to start having an online blogger and podcaster guide. And from what I understand, it's going to kind of intertwine in the usatoday.com website, which gets over 10 million unique visitors a day. Now, in addition to that, they're going to have a printed version of this blogger and podcaster guide once a week. And what's the cool thing? Members of the School of Podcasting get a free month of the online guide. And if you want to quit after 30 days, you can. But if you stay, you get 20% off. It's a $10 value. And if you want to be in the printed version, which, by the way, is 5 million readers, $50 value, get 25% off the printed version. And somebody asked me, but Dave, don't you have a one-day option at the School of Podcasting? And I said, yeah. They said, so I could sign up for the $5 one-day trial thing and save $50? I'm like, oh, yeah, I guess you could. So that's something that's new and exciting, not only because I have a great bonus for members of the School of Podcasting, but just for podcasting in general. USA Today, I mean, that's huge. And I've been looking for somebody to take the lead in bringing in new podcast listeners that aren't podcasters, and I like this initiative. So if you want to sign up, go over to schoolofpodcasting.com. So that's that. On the show today, one of my favorite people, Lessa Barnes, wrote a book, Podcasting for Profit. And a little story about this. I've been trying to read bits and pieces of it in between my schoolwork. For those of you that have just joined, I'm back getting my second degree. And talked to Leesa about the book in California. Paged through it. The more I read it, the more I love it. I just got done with chapter 1. I love it. It's a great book. And if you're looking to monetize your podcast, I've heard snippets of it in other podcasts. I've heard other interviews with Leesa, and everything I hear about this book, I really like. It's very easy to read, and it's actually got I didn't realize this. There's a lot of her personal story, how she wanted to play basketball and how basketball. So it's not just nuts and bolts, black and white stuff about podcasting and money and things like that. It's actually a very interesting read. So. And I got to read, like I said, chapter 1 last night. My girlfriend, unfortunately, accidentally, obviously, squirted shaving cream in her eye and scratched her cornea. So we were stuck in the emergency room as she's a nurse, so she knew to rinse out her eye and things like that. But and she's going to be okay. But, I grabbed the book and brought it with me while we were sitting there. And that's the key here. If you're going to do something that requires a doctor, do it in the emergency room, because we were there for probably a good hour and a half. Meanwhile, her eye is, she looks like, Rocky Balboa. It's all swollen shut. It's red. It's nasty. So it was a fun time in the emergency room, and I passed the time by reading Lisa's first chapter, and I liked it a lot. So there you go. And I watched old episodes of Soul Train, because this was about 2 o'clock in the morning. So anyway, so I will shut up. Enough of my little behind-the-scenes stuff. Here is the interview with Lessa Barnes, author. And by the way, I'll have links to this book. You can also go to leesabarnes.com. It's Leesa Barnes.com. But I'll have a link to this out in the show notes. And, of course, you can always buy all your holiday stuff at supportthisshow.com. And anything you buy from that site help me, basically. It's one of the ways that I help, speaking of monetizing your podcast. So here's my interview with Leesa, recorded live face-to-face in Ontario, California at the new Media Expo. All right, well, with us here, we are now in the Executive Conference Center at the Marriott here at the Expo. Day 3? Three. It's only 3 days. It feels like 4.
I know.
And I'm here with Lessa Barnes of LessaBarnes.com. Now, for those of you that would want to spell it with an I, that is incorrect. It's LeesaBarnes.com. Right. And she has a new book out called
Podcasting for Profit.
There we go. And we're going to talk about that. It's actually...
I'm going to get it so I can...
There you go. I've spent at least 20 minutes with it now, leafing through it. I really like... You know what? As much as this is like podcasting for profit, the beginning section, like especially the planning section, even if you don't plan on profiting from podcasting, it's good stuff.
Yeah.
I was like, wow, it's very easy to understand and good old plain English and things like that. So.
And that was important to me because when I thought about who was going to read this thing, I thought about that business owner who says, podcasting, heard my kids talking about this thing. What is it about? He goes to the bookstore, sees this and says, this is what I got to get. You can start right from the beginning, go to the end, and it's easy. Now, the podcaster who's been, podcasting for a little while and wants to monetize can skip to one of the other sections and start from there. So I kind of had that in mind when I wrote the book.
Very cool. Well, let's start off. You have I call it the little circle thingy.
The circle thingy.
I think you actually call it the 7 steps of podcasting.
Absolutely. So it's a podcasting wheel.
The podcasting wheel.
Podcasting wheel.
As opposed to the circle thingy.
The circle thingy, Yep. And 7 steps to podcast for profit. And so we'll go through each of them quickly. Assess is number 1. Assess.
Meaning
taking a look at yourself and figuring out, am I actually ready for this? Should I even read Lisa's book? So if you're at the library or bookstore, start with chapter 1 before you spend your money. And I'm serious, look at chapter 1 before you spend your money.
Who would not be ready to podcast? Because, of course, I want everybody to podcast.
Me too.
Yeah.
There's many examples, and Dave, you know of some of these examples. And I won't name them, but I will talk about one that I stumbled upon. It was a government agency in Canada, and they decided to create a video podcast for farmers to let them know about impending legislation changes and any other information that farmers should know. Now, I don't know about you, Dave, or any of those listening, but if you live in a rural area, you have dial-up at best.
Nice.
Yeah, dial-up at best. And video files can be big. Yeah.
Real big.
Real big. So if you've got dial-up and you've got these big, huge, clunky files to download, then obviously it's going to take you like 2 days.
Really? Seriously, that's about right.
Yeah. So these poor farmers started complaining. And they started saying, my goodness, we can't even get to this damn content. Why didn't they just print up some brochures and fly a plane over and drop them from the sky or something? So there's an example of a company that should have done an assessment first. Assess, is your target market ready? Can they access? Are they already online? In this case, farmers are online, but just they didn't have the right technology to be online to download this content.
An audio podcast, maybe. Video podcast.
They could have skipped that. So assess is the first step. Step 2 is plan. And Dave, you've probably heard this many times. Anyone that's been with me around me over the past 12 months, have heard the story about my failed trip. Well, we eventually got to Boston, but it was a road trip from Toronto to Boston.
Okay.
And I went with Jay Muna of Uncle Seth.
Yes.
And the lead singer, Tara Thompson, and her friend, Charlotte. Charlotte, I don't remember your last name, so forgive me. But Charlotte, she knows who she is. And so we left Toronto at 3 p.m. We should have reached Boston by midnight.
Okay.
So we got out of Canada, so we went east to Kingston, Ontario, and then we crossed the border and went south into Syracuse.
Okay.
Now in Syracuse, we should have hit the I-90 east to Boston. I-90 would have taken us right into Boston.
Right.
But instead, we missed the exit because there was some construction. And the worst part is that we didn't have a road map with us. No road map to tell us that we were going the wrong way.
Oops.
So when we finally passed a sign that said, "Welcome to Pennsylvania," that's when I knew, Jesus, we are not going the right way.
Yes.
So we ended up in Scranton, Pennsylvania. Wow.
I think we'll pause for a second.
Yeah, and there's only 5 women passing us right now.
So you're in Syracuse, Pennsylvania.
We're in Scranton, Pennsylvania. We grabbed a road map and then ended up going east through Connecticut and I think might have been New York and New Jersey, finally into Boston. It was 14 and a half hours later.
Nice.
Sorry, 14 and a half hours after leaving Toronto that I finally climbed into the bed at the hotel in Boston. So I use that to illustrate the point. They must plan.
Yeah.
So plan your content, plan your frequency, plan your name even, and also analyze who your competitors are.
Yeah.
That would help.
Actually, go listen to your competitor.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That would help.
That's always a good idea.
That's always a good idea. So assess, plan, launch is step number 3.
Okay.
Because if no one can find you, then,
Kind of hard to get listeners.
Yes,
Yeah.
really hard. And then after you launch your solution, then you grow the audience. And every podcaster that I've spoken to, that I interviewed for the book, have told me that before they even thought about profiting with their podcast, they first start to grow the audience, promote their podcasts. So growing it is very key, and there's tools you can use online and offline to do that. Then profit is step number 5.
Not step number 1.
Not step number 1. Very good
Step
point.
1, make some money.
Step 1.
Step 2, get an audience.
Yes.
Yeah.
So step 5 is profit.
Okay.
And then step 6 is measure. So you want to measure your return on investment. And then step number 7 is optimize. Just because it's not working doesn't mean you abandon your podcast. Just means there's little things that you can
Gotta
tweak.
tweak.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And polish and
Now,
refine.
Step 6 is measure. Mm-hmm. How do you do that?
Ooh, measure. So measure is fun because I came up with this little thing. I have a little diagram here with like a Venn diagram.
On page 252, for those of you that
252.
have bought the book from
Yes.
LessaBarnes.com.
So I talk about measuring your podcast using 3 distinct things. So what you're looking for is, number 1 is numbers. You use the numbers to measure. So that involves like number of downloads and who's subscribed and that sort of thing. Not who, but number of downloads and number of subscribers. And that just tells you, how big's your audience.
Right.
The other thing that you got to measure is also the results. So results in terms of if people are listening, what action do they take as a result of listening to my podcast? Do they buy a product? Do they buy a service? And who is listening? And what are they? And what are they all about? So these are things that you can use. You can use a survey to find out from your audience, did you ever buy a product that the host recommended? Those are the results.
Okay.
Because when you need to prove the numbers to your higher ups or your spouse even, they're going to want to know, okay, so you have 5,000 listeners. What does that tell me? That doesn't tell me much.
Right.
So numbers, results, and then the influence. What's your authority in your industry now that you've been podcasting? So you can use things like Technorati to check your ranking. You can use the comments. How many comments are you getting on your blog now that you're podcasting? Is it 2 a year ago and now you're up to 20? So that's another way to measure influence. Search engine ranking is another one. Are you now higher in a search engine because your influence is growing? So those are the 3 things to use to measure your podcast success.
Very cool. So it's not just numbers.
Not just numbers.
I know a lot of people get really stuck on the number thing.
And I'm hoping that, especially for advertisers and ad and media buyers, those who are buying inventory on banner ads or whatever the case may be for their clients, they need to start to request something beyond the numbers. Numbers doesn't tell me anything. If someone tells me I have 200 listeners, but turns around and says I make $100,000 a month off of 200 listeners, that tells me that, okay, so 200 listeners doesn't sound like a lot, but the result is that they're spending lots of money with this guy.
Right.
So that's much more, that paints a bigger picture than just saying I have 5,000 listeners. Yeah,
Absolutely.
so what?
There you go. Well, and you also talk about, there's 3 different methods
Yeah.
of podcasting.
Yeah. I have this in front of me just to refresh my memory.
Okay.
Yeah. So, 3 methods. So I got all these great ideas about podcasting for profit. And I said to myself, okay, these are fabulous ideas. What do I do with them? I can have 20 individual little chapters on how to podcast for profit, or I can just find the common threads and just group them all under 3 distinct headings. So I had a chat with Paul Colligan, who wrote the foreword to the book, and he said, I've been using direct, indirect, and integrated as ways to describe podcasting for profit. So I call them methods. 3 distinct methods to podcasting for profit. The direct method is monetizing your podcast content. Or in other words, getting money to subsidize the costs of producing your podcast. So that would involve getting advertising, sponsorship, tip jars, donation, the common things that we all know.
Right.
As well as licensing your content, as well as selling the archive content. So instead of just having your archive sitting there for people to access, you can burn them onto a CD or put them in the membership website so that people pay you a membership fee to access that premium content. So that's all direct.
Okay.
So Any examples you can think of them?
There is a bunch of people doing that. Actually, I know Tim Henson does the Distorted View, where he gets $5 a month to get. There's the blues podcast called The Roadhouse. There is, I still can't remember his name, the guy from MediaCast.
Oh, okay. Mm-hmm.
I met him. He's a lovely bloke.
I met him.
I know there are more that I can't think of. Well, there's me.
There's you, School of Podcasting.
Yeah, there's and then who am I missing?
I don't know.
I think that's it.
I think that's it.
Tim Roadhouse. Yeah.
Yeah. So those are good. Yeah, those are examples of people making money outside using the direct method aside from advertising and sponsorship. And I think a lot of people are going to be happy to hear that, because I'm not a true fan of advertising and sponsorship in podcasts. Mm-hmm. So it's great to see these other examples of what podcasters are doing.
You don't enjoy the pre-roll? You don't enjoy
You say you don't enjoy that I don't.
No, I don't either.
I don't. I think it's ridiculous. And especially for someone like me, where I use my podcast for business, and I use my podcast to deliver a message. The last thing I want to do is use someone else's message in my podcast. Then it becomes diluted, and then my audience takes no action. They don't take any action on that message that I've inserted in the pre-roll, post-roll, mid-roll, whatever, and as well as my own message in my podcast.
It dilutes it.
It dilutes it.
There you go.
Okay, direct. Indirect are the ways, or the opportunities that podcasters are finding in order to monetize their skills and expertise in podcasting. So, for many podcasters, they start podcasting.
Yes.
And then they find out that, okay, people come to them and say, hey, you've been podcasting for 4 months. Can you help me? And then that's where you monetize those skills.
Instant podcast consultant.
Yes.
Just add water. Boom. There you go. And off they go.
And unfortunately, many agencies operate that way. They've never produced a podcast in their life. All of a sudden, their client asks for it, and then they go and they do some crap, and then the poor client has egg on their face. Right. I think that's what happened to Starbucks.
It could be.
I think so.
All right, so that's indirect.
So teaching, consulting, leading workshops,
Yeah, because you're talking all over the place.
I'm everywhere.
There you go.
I'm everywhere.
So, all right. So you can speak the truth. You live it.
I can. I live it. I've been in the trenches. Okay, so that's indirect. And then integrated.
Okay.
Now, if anyone's listening and they're saying, I want to make money with my podcast, but, I want to do it right away, integrated is your best bet, because that's the tools, that's the techniques you use to turn your listeners or viewers into clients. So things such as selling your own products or services, or selling other people's, so become an affiliate. One thing I could think of is maybe you are a career coach.
Okay.
And you decide to do a topic one week on how to climb the corporate ladder. So you interview an author who's written a book called 10 Ways to Push Ahead Without Derailing Anyone, off the top of my head. She interviews the author for half an hour, includes that in the podcast, and then at the end, her call to action is, hey, if you liked who I interviewed today, she's got a book, click on the link on my show notes and buy the book. And that link is from Amazon. And when the audience member clicks on that and purchases a book, then the career coach, who's the host of that podcast, then gets a kickback. Well, that doesn't sound right. A commission.
Yes, commission sounds less, I don't know.
Less dirty.
Not so much like a crime.
No. So she gets a commission for that sale. So that's integrated. Yeah. And that can happen really quickly if you do it in a smart way.
There you go.
Don't sound like a late night infomercial.
That was going to be my thing. Nobody likes a 20-minute commercial.
No.
And that's why infomercials only run when people aren't watching TV. Saturday mornings, we're all out mowing the lawn.
Right.
Nobody's watching TV.
But why is it a multi-million-dollar business then?
Because somebody's watching.
Somebody's watching.
And if they're watching, they're getting hooked in. And
yes. And it's easy to get hooked in. My goodness, have you watched those things?
Well, it's a money-back guarantee. And if you order now, free shipping. and the free Ginsu knives.
And we'll take one payment off.
Right.
Yes.
So, yeah.
Yeah.
But don't make a podcast like that.
No.
No, that'd be bad. So
people won't listen.
No, that's the cool thing. Keep that in mind. There's so many podcasts now that if you try to force a sale down somebody, it's way too easy to unsubscribe and fast forward and stop and click the next button and things like that. The other things you have in your podcast and what helped develop in your podcast or your book.
Or my book.
Yes, better not. What you have in your book. See, guys, it's day 3 of the expo.
Yes, it is.
We have no sleep under our belt.
No.
And, so what you have in your book is case studies as well.
Lots of case studies.
Yeah, so it's not just your opinion. It's based on...
actual podcasters doing this actually. So... nothing in the book is based on this theory. It's not none of these things are theory. Everything is based on something that someone has actually done.
So, give us a case study, a fun one.
Oh, a fun one. I'll give you 2. One is Galacticast.
Okay.
They're a boyfriend and girlfriend team out of Montreal. And they decided that they didn't want to put ads into their video podcasts. And their video podcast is parodying... what they do is they parody sci-fi and a few other genres all mixed into one. Sci-fi, comedy, and a whole bunch of stuff. So it's hilarious sketches, that sort of thing. Anyways, so they decided that, what we're going to do is we're going to sell spots on our... what's that? The credits at the end. So they have the real credits, the people who really worked on the show.
Right.
And then they have a few other credits. So then you can buy a spot called Best Boy. Key Grip. Is there a Best Boy in video? Maybe.
Sure.
Why not?
Yeah.
Let's say there is.
Yeah.
Best Boy or Key Grip, and that's $50. If you buy that spot, then your name shows up under that credit. Or you could be producer, something along those lines, and then that's like $100. And if you buy $1,500 spot, then you get some godlike status.
There you go.
Yeah, so that's pretty fun. That's a clever way to get your audience involved, also raise some money without using advertising spots.
Very cool. And how long have they been podcasting, do you know?
They've been podcasting since 2006.
That's because I've never heard of that. That's a fun little twist.
It's fun.
All right.
And one of the fun interviews I had was with a woman named Beverly Mahone. Beverly Mahone. She has a podcast called Whatever. Whatever, with the exclamation mark at the end.
Okay.
And she targets baby boomers. And she was saying to me that she's a work-at-home mom, and she's a stay-at-home mom, and she's married, she has a daughter, and she doesn't want to go back and work in corporate America, but she's bored. So she heard about podcasting and decided to launch her own podcast. She said within a month, she started getting requests from people to sponsor her show. So she drummed up, she didn't know how much to charge them, so she said $250, and she mentions them at the beginning, at the end, and then she also puts them on her puts a link on her webpage and that sort of thing. So she said it was so important for her to do this. Once she saw the money roll in, she was like, wow, this is so cool, because now she can do diva things. She can support her diva things. And these diva things are massages, getting her nails done.
Right.
Because she was living off her husband's income, and she's like, she wanted to contribute. She wanted to contribute. So now she's got a little money rolling in to do diva things.
I want to do diva things.
Do you?
I do. I think my nails need done. I need a pedicure.
Yes.
What's the thing where they do your feet?
Yeah, that's the pedicure.
Pedicure, okay.
You got it. You got it.
Yeah, I need work on my feet.
Yeah, I gotta get some things.
So you mentioned she priced her show. Do you talk about that in the book, about how to price your show?
Yeah, I got some advice from Andy Walker, who is the co-host of Lab Rats TV.
Okay.
And he gave some pointers on how to price your show, because when I spoke to the different podcasters about advertising and sponsorship, and mind you, there's only one chapter in the book about advertising and sponsorship. And so when I spoke to them, it just ran the gamut. Like someone like Tim Street charges $50,000 per episode for sponsorship. And Tim Street does French Made TV. Yeah.
Really nice guy.
Really nice guy. He is so, he just embodies like the Hollywood producer. He is so laid back. He's always wearing sunglasses.
I met him. He's a nice guy.
He is like so like low key. You do French Made TV. He's like, yeah. It's so low key. He's great. But he charges $50,000 per episode to produce. But on the flip side, you have someone like Rocket Boom that just came out with their pricing strategy, and it's a lot less. I don't remember what the price is, but you can find out on their webpage. So it's just all over the place. So Andy Walker had some advice, such as making sure you gauge your market, take a look at who you're targeting. If it's large corporations, then be mindful that if you come with them with $250 per episode, they're going to look at you and say, "Are you kidding me?"
Right.
Whereas if you're targeting small business owners, then $250 might just be enough. So that's one other thing to take note of. So there's a lot of other factors that you have to take note of when putting together your pricing sheet if you want advertising and sponsorship.
Cool. Now, flip in here and find, I think you had fame.
Yeah.
You're talking about a unique, you need to find a unique way to describe your podcast.
Yes.
And what sets it apart from the other ones. Because really, if you think about it, some of us do this whole thing where we're like, well, it's a music cast. So
Yes.
you just kind of want to go, well, I'm just a music cast.
Right.
And you probably need to take the just a
Yeah.
out of describing your podcast.
Yeah.
So you had is it an anomaly?
It's
We have the fame stands for something else.
Yes, it's an acronym.
Acronym, there we go.
I got you. So it's an acronym because many times I find, and you probably find this too, like you said, you say to a podcaster, "So what's your podcast all about?" "No, it's just this, it's just that." And when you're talking to people who are not podcasters, you can't say it's just a blank cast because they're not going to get it. You have to say something you have to give them a unique podcasting message, something that tells them that you're my target, this is the problem I solve, and this is how I can help you solve it through my podcast. So fame is something that I've used for a long time with some of my clients, and it's to help them to craft that message. And fame stands for something. So the F in fame is figure out your target market. Who are they? In 2 or 3 words, who are you targeting with your podcast? So sometimes I hear people say, "I target everyone."
Yeah, that's
crap.
You can't be everything to everybody.
Right.
You gotta,
because then you're nothing.
Your target is... You think your target's so big because it's everybody,
Right.
but...
It ends up being no one.
Yeah.
Because no one knows.
That's not going to work.
That's not going to work. So the F is figure out your target market, and then 2 or 3 words, just say who they are. The A is acknowledge one problem they face. What is one problem they face? And if you don't know, ask them. Ask people who are in your target market and just say, "Hey, what keeps you up at night? What's your pain points?" And so so an example of that would be with my Cubicle Divas podcast. A problem that I wanted to satisfy with the podcast is that many women had a business but weren't sure how to manage it with limited income. So that was one problem they face. So my target market are business women, they're self-employed women, and then the problem they face is lack of money. The M is make out your role in the process. Make out your role in this process. And the role is really, what are you doing in your podcast? Are you inspiring? Are you helping? Are you entertaining? So choose that verb that explains what you want to do. And it's one word. So in this process, I'm helping. I'm helping these self-employed women who have limited incomes, and then that's where the E comes in. Because we're going to have to finish this all up, right?
Right.
The E is explain the solution you provide. What is the solution you provide in your podcast? And again, like I said, limited income with business women have limited incomes. So the solution I provide is I teach them how to launch big marketing stuff on a shoestring budget. How to get the word out on a shoestring budget. So that's the solution I provide. So think about your podcast, the overall solution you're providing. And then to put it all together, it's just more or less what I did. I take a look at my target market, I say what my role is, and I acknowledge the problem they face, and then look at the solution. So I may say, someone might say to me, "Okay, Dave, you say to me, what's my podcast all about?"
What's your podcast all about, Leesa?
So I'll say, "Hey, do you know that that many self-employed women have lack of money?"
And if I said no,
And
you mean business women are lacking on money?
Yeah, and if you said no, then I'd say, "Well, they are, and my podcast helps self-employed women learn how to manage a business on a shoestring budget."
There you go.
And
I'd say, "Gosh, where could I find that?" And
Yeah.
you go from there.
And I go from there. Remember, it's to pique people's interests, and especially pique the interest of your target market. That's what you're doing with fame.
My problem is, I know you might find this hard to believe.
Yes.
I like to talk, and I went and I was meeting with some people about starting a podcast and updating their website, and literally I think I saw his eyes roll into the back of his head.
You're kidding me.
And because I got into this and all the tools, and I'm just, I should have piqued his interest and let him call me, let him contact me,
Right.
and then start with, what do you want? And let's get into the planning.
Yes.
Let's assess what's he want,
Exactly.
And
it's just like me today when I was on a panel, and Jason Van Orden was moderating it, and he asked each of us to introduce ourselves. The first guy was like, blah, 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 blah. The second guy was blah, 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 blah. And so Jay goes, okay, Leesa, can you just say a little bit about yourself? And I said, my name is Lessa Barnes. I'm author of Podcasting for Profit. I teach individuals and businesses how to make money with a podcast. And I pushed the microphone away and sat back. And Jay goes, oh, that was nice and short. I said, of course. But it stuck out in people's minds.
right. Because then they're also going, oh, well, okay, I want to profit and teach me, and
Yes.
you've piqued my interest.
Piqued the interest. And so if they want more, you come to me afterwards to ask more.
There you go. That's why you're the professional.
That's why I'm the professional.
Last question here.
Yes.
Before we let you let us go get a nap. We always hear the phrase, quit your day job, and there are some people that are like, it's a pipe dream. Blah, blah. But in your travels and interviewing all these, obviously Tim Streetum apparently is quitting his day job.
Absolutely.
$50,000 an episode. So, it's not a fluke? There are people actually doing it?
There are people actually doing it, and there's various ways they do it. People like Callie Lewis and Julian Smith. Mm-hmm. Callie Lewis is Geek Briefed TV.
Right.
I always get that tongue-tied. Mm-hmm. And then Julian Smith does...
In Over Your Head.
That's right. And both of them were able to leave their jobs and work on their podcast full-time. And actually, Callie and her husband were both able to leave their other jobs. And they were able to do that because they joined a podcast network. Mm-hmm. So kudos to them. That's great. Me, on the other hand, I'm one of those people who have been self-employed for 18 months because of podcasting, but I've never joined a podcasting network. And what I usually advise podcasters to do is to develop a multiple streams approach with their podcasts. So we talked about the direct, indirect, and integrated. And my recommendation is to make sure that you have income coming from those three methods. So for me, 70% of my income comes from indirect. Why? Because I'm just strong in speaking and teaching. That's what I love to do, and that's what people tell me I'm good at. So it's no accident that the majority of my income comes from indirect. But I have a few coming from the integrated and then also from the direct method. So I'd advise podcasters to kind of figure out their own distribution of their income, but just make sure there's income coming from all three. Don't dismiss advertising altogether. Take a look at what's out there. Take a look at how you can incorporate that. And maybe in the direct method, maybe it's not advertising. Maybe it's premium content. Maybe it's licensing your content. So take a look at those three different options and develop a multiple streams approach in your podcast.
Very cool. And, of course, we can find the book at leesabarnes.com. It's LEESA-Barnes.com. Or, of course, Amazon.com. Mm-hmm. Leesa, thank you very much.
Thank you, Dave.
Again, for coming on the show.
And there she is. That is my interview with Lessa Barnes. I know it's a little longer than usual, but good. I'm telling you, from what I've seen so far, and if you want to see my review of the book, you can go over to davidjackson.org. That's where my little blog is. And there's actually a really cool plugin for WordPress where you can put in what you're reading and all sorts of very cool things. I've really been getting into WordPress plugins. Found one where you can put one of those little icons for your Internet Explorer. All sorts of fun stuff. I'm really starting to explore a lot in plugins. So thank you very much for tuning in. Again, keep in mind that you can now get a free month in the online podcaster and blogger section of USA Today by signing up at the School of Podcasting, and that's just one of many bonuses. In addition to the wonderful tutorials, newly redesigned navigation, by the way, making it very easy to find exactly what you're looking for based on feedback from the users. So user-built, user-generated, everybody's enjoying it. Schoolpodcasting.com. My email, dave@schoolpodcasting.com. My phone number, 888-563-3228. The website, schoolpodcasting.com. And our show notes, shownotes.schoolpodcasting.com. Extra special thanks to Lessa Barnes, again, LEESA Barnes.com. Or if you want, go out to show notes and buy the book there, and I'll get my little commission, just like she was talking about. Very cool book. Very cool person. One of my favorite people. she's one of the people that when I go to the expos, there's some people I shake their hands. Leesa gets a hug. She's a phenomenal, just fun to be around. Went to dinner with, it was my girlfriend and Jason Van Orden and Leesa and Paul Culligan. Had a great time. And she's always just a lot of fun to be around. So, Leesa, thank you very much for your time at the expo. And till we meet again, everybody, class dismissed. Today we are talking with Lessa Barnes, author of Profiting